There are some videos out there that say, watch this before you do the Matterhorn. Watch this before you do the Matterhorn. Don't listen to the other people. I've watched all of them. I spent the last week just watching videos on YouTube thinking that was going to prepare me for this. It's not. Watch this video. It should help you at least get a good understanding for what you're getting yourself into. The other guys are going to tell you to spend a week in Zermatt to acclimatize to 5,000 foot elevation. That's not going to help you at 14,000 feet unless you literally cannot walk up a flight of stairs, in which case, don't do the Matterhorn. We got to Zermatt at like 1:20. I left my house at 8. It was a long commute. Gotta get somewhere up there. I gotta say, this backpack, I really did not spare any weight. Just crossed over a river. I'll put it on the screen where I am. I've been going, this is the first time I'm gonna check, an hour and 47 minutes. It's currently 3 in the morning. It's quite cold, so I got my jacket on. You know it's cold when I am layering up on an uphill. This sign would have you believe that we are 2 hours and 20 minutes from the Hornli hut. I would say probably like 2. Probably about the same, yeah. This backpack is weighing me down like the Sherpa of the Kardashians. The stars are insane. It's so cool. Another sign for the Hornli Hoot. Can you see that? I don't think so. Okay. Well, anyway. That was a very steep section, I'm not gonna lie. That trail is yeah, quite steep. Yeah, it's been 3.5 hours. Grok said that it was going to take me 6 hours to get to the Hornli hut. I'll probably summit roughly 9 a.m. Hey, here are the stairs we talked about. See the sun starting to come up? There's a little blue place on here, and I believe that blue place is the hut. Here's the hut. We're in the hut. Hornli hut. That's the Matterhorn. You can see a few of the lights up there. Pretty epic. This is sunrise. Hopefully I'm getting a good time lapse for you guys of this. I got up here probably 40 minutes ago. I thought it was fine when I got here, and then I got inside and I couldn't stop shaking for like 30 minutes or so. There's a lot of places in this world you can go and be judged for the way you look, but very few give you the looks of someone wearing a bike helmet, a hunting rain jacket, and every puffy layer known to man. I mean, look at this view though, holy. So far, I'm good on what I've done so far. Like, I could definitely down climb what I have done. Yeah, I would say, like, online they said there's a lot more fixed ropes than there are. I mean, I know up top, I'm only about a third of the way through from starting at the hut, so like, still got a couple 2,500 feet to go. But I would say, like, sections like these, like, it's a little concerning they don't have a fixed rope, and apparently above it somewhere they do have fixed ropes, because this seems fairly exposed, fairly steep. I mean, it's definitely doable, but like, this pack is such a mistake. It's too large. I hit my head on it when I go back like that, so range of motion is a bit of an issue. But man, look at that view. It's a great day. Yeah, so we're making our way up. About 2,000 feet more. That's a lie. 2,400 at least. But it's okay. Moving along. 2,400, 2 hours probably. At this pace, 2 hours. We'll see if we get hung up at all behind any other groups, because obviously I'd be respectful of that. But doing pretty good, I'd say. Hydration's a little low, but I need water so bad. This is crazy. I don't know how it's still moving. Like, I'm not thinking the normal thoughts. I'm so thirsty. That's kind of how these things go for me, I feel like. This would take me a lot longer to go down than it did to come up. Primarily because of this backpack and how forward I have to be in order to not catch the back. So I wouldn't be able to like walk downhill. I'd have to walk backwards downhill, which would not be super fun. There's certain spots where I would not like to do that, I will say. But I also think that I've gotten off route a couple times, and I think actually like looking down, I can see a lot more options than I can looking up. You have so much thinner air up here that it's a lot less heavy. So you need a lot more of it to really inflate your paraglide. So like if you're at sea level and you have 25 miles an hour wind, you're scared to pull that thing off the ground. But up there, 25 miles an hour, it doesn't like blow you over. It kind of, it's a lot weaker. All right, so this is kind of where we are. We gotta just go up. This looks a lot worse on camera, I think, than it is. This is not that bad. This is what we've come up so far. See, there's the hut that we started at. That's kind of crazy. It's so small looking. The hut above us is even smaller looking, so yeah, okay, cool. Took a bit of a scenic route. I definitely just climbed some very real climbing stuff. And then I popped over this ridge and see these fellas. Hold on. These guys down there. See them? And all these guys. Which means now I am en route. But I did definitely take a shortcut up, I guess. I even turned off my music. It was that intense. So, yeah, let's keep going. There's the hut. 13,943 feet. Around 600 feet to the summit. very thirsty. It's currently 10:35. I want to get there within the hour. I'm so thirsty. I cannot believe I'm up here. This is so cool. 14,704 feet is by far the tallest mountain I've ever climbed, and man, it's tough. I have exhausted myself. We are gonna try to take off from the summit of Matterhorn. That's our objective. Well, actually, no, that's not true. Our objective is to stay alive. Our priority is to stay alive. Our objective is to fly off of the top of the Matterhorn. Down this little slope, You can see those tracks right down there. Those are my takeoff tracks. I'm going to set up an anchor with a quick release that I brought with me. And once the wing is over my head, I will pull the quick release and jump off. That is the plan. The wind is going roughly 25 kilometers an hour up here. And although that seems scary, you have to remember that we have a very small portion of the actual amount of air moving in that wind, so it's not very heavy. It doesn't wreck the glider from what I've read online, so we'll see. Hello, I am calling to request like a clearance for a recreational paraglide flight.
You want to do a paraglide flight, and where?
I will be taking off from the Matterhorn, heading north.
Right now?
Within the next hour. I'll hurry up and take off. All right, thank you.
Just give us a call.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so this is the method I have. So I'm gonna connect this little hook. Is gonna go onto my anchor, okay? And then when I get the wing over my head, I'm going to pull this pin and release myself from the anchor, leaving this blue rope behind. I have to move a couple things, but the blue rope will be making the anchor. I'll connect this to the quick pull and we're gonna give this a shot. I'm gonna show you how I set it up right before we take off. Okay. The wind died fully. It's literally stagnant. And I'm honestly in a pretty bad spot. I have no water. I have really little food, some M&Ms, and I have to get myself down. Found a destroyed Mavic 3 Pro. Kind of crazy. Yeah, you can see Mavic 3 Pro. I need water so bad. This is crazy. I don't know how it's still moving. I have no concept of what time day it is right now. It's wild. It's like in a void. I'm like so out of it. Delusional. I need water. Okay, now I've had 500 milliliters of water. We now need to book it to that ridge and fly. There's the Matterhorn back there. That's crazy. I remember seeing this rope this morning and thinking, if they feel the need to put a rope here, it's gonna be easy. It's gonna be an easy climb. Boy, was I wrong. All right, let's go! Finally, we have made immense progress. I am like not on this planet right now with delusion. Oh gosh. Look at that thing! We got to the top of it! From there! From that town, dude! this video is cool. I'm gonna be kind of upset if it's not. It's probably one of the coolest things I've ever done, I would say. Dude, we went. What is our altitude right now? Why am I going so fast? That's really aggressive. Why did I hit the ground so damn hard? Alright, well, we're good. So, David, you look terrible. Yes, I know, I feel terrible, but that's okay. It's the day after. I spent the night in Zermatt. I got a hotel. I literally, I landed in that field terribly, I might add. And I was I couldn't think. My brain was not working properly. It was very weird. Some of the thoughts I was having were very problematic, just disrupting my movements on the way down on the climb. I would forget what I was doing and just touch the rock and not grab. I don't know. It's mostly that's mostly a side effect of just the dehydration, which is on me for sure. The other videos actually do say don't, or there's not really any water above the Hornli hut. So they said to bring full water bottles at the Hornli hut. I would agree with that. It is $10 for a very large bottle of water at the Hornli hut. So although that is a little expensive, that's definitely market value up there. So yeah, water, biggest thing. Bring a lot of it. Bring 2 liters for just the climbing portion. So 2 liters starting at the Hornli hut, maybe more if you need more water. Personally, I probably would have been happy with 3. That would have gotten me up to the Hornli, or up to the summit and back down, and I probably would have been out when I was finishing. Biggest mistakes that I made. I brought this as my backpack. Now, David, why did you bring that? Well, I brought this backpack because I thought I was going to buy a tent here and go camping a lot. Things took a turn, and I started trying to do more mountains, and so I was like, I'm not using this backpack. And I was like, maybe I will want to stay at the Hornli hut. So I brought a sleeping bag. I think you only need a sleeping bag liner to stay at the Hornli hut, from my understanding. So even with that, it wasn't worth it. There's a lot of stuff. It's too much. And as you'll see, if you do the Matterhorn, everyone up there has this little itty bitty backpack, and their rope, of course. I did not bring a rope. And do I think you need one? It really depends on your comfort. I would say there are certainly spots that you would be like, I'd like a rope here. It would be nice, because there's a lot of heights, there's a lot of exposure, there's a lot of moves where if you look down, you're like, I'm gonna, die if you mess up. And that's the case with a lot of the stuff on the mountains up here. But rope, did I regret not bringing one? No, not even close. I'm very happy I didn't bring a rope. I didn't need it, especially on the way down. I was very nervous about not having one, especially being dehydrated. I ended up finding the route just fine. I did not follow the route on the way up. I just climbed because I was like, the summit's up there. I'm fairly confident in my climbing abilities. I'm going to get there, and then on the way back down, I'll probably be able to find people to follow down. Some of the time that was true. I actually kind of made my own route, which I wouldn't recommend, because there's a lot of loose rock. Trying to take off from the summit. I spent 3 hours trying to take off from the summit. And It didn't work, and I'll explain why. The wind initially was actually quite good. I would have maybe been able to take off with the wind at first. However, I was very nervous for that takeoff, because in any direction you've got 20 feet before you're moving all the way to the bottom. Like, right, you've got 20 feet in front of you of like very sketchy, down climbable terrain, and then it's somewhat of a drop off. Behind you, it's really a drop off like immediately. So I don't know. I was definitely a little nervous. It was not like my best. It was not my best effort, I'd say. But that being said, I should have packed it better. The thing that primarily prevented me from taking off was a huge amount of tangles. It took me so long to get untangled. So yeah, I need to practice the ridge takeoffs more. I don't know how. I really don't. Did I feel safe when I was taking off? Yeah, I'd say so. I was doing a pretty good job of like keeping my safety as the first priority, I would say. Even though it might not have looked like it, I did have an anchor that was typically connected to the mountain that would prevent me from getting ripped off in any direction. I don't know if it would have been okay for me to take off from the summit. And I say that because I took off 4,000 feet below that, and it was still unpredictable wind that was tossing me around quite a bit. Would I have been okay at taking off the summit? Yes. If I had gotten off the ground, it would have been fine. But it would have been a situation that is potentially beyond my skill set for paragliding at the moment. Maybe it's not the worst thing I had to go back down and then take off from below the hut. So I started at 1 a.m. I started at like 1:30. I got to the hut at about 5 a.m. maybe. Left around probably like 6:30. Once the sun had just come up, it started getting way warmer out, and I was very happy about that. Because I have a bit of a cold, I guess, like nothing severe, but it did definitely mess with my ability to regulate my temperature at one point. And then, the climb was a little bit more hard, like physically for me than it should have been, because this backpack weighs so much. Not in the regards of like, oh, it's uncomfortable or I had to work too hard. It's just like when you're climbing actual terrain, like you don't maybe want to be challenged by the weight that's on your back. You might want to be able to focus on the rocks that you're climbing up. So that is a learning moment, I would say. The shoes did great. My feet stayed dry the whole time. The boots are excellent. The La Sportiva mountaineering boots with these are the leather version. I know there's also a synthetic. This one definitely did a little more to them than the Eiger West Flank did. If I was to put this in a comparison to the Eiger West Flank, this is like way harder. I wanted that not to be the case. But I would say the hardest move on the Eiger West Flank is something you will face at least 10 times on this climb. It's a lot more technical, and when in the Eiger West Flank, you're mostly walking the whole time. On this one, you've probably got at least 3 hands with contact on the rock, probably 60% of your climb up the mountain. The last thing I'll say, I think that the representation of this route on YouTube is terrible. I've got to be honest, considering this mountain is so famous and like just like lingers above this town, and it was on the Toblerone packaging. Like, I do not know how I was unable to get an accurate view of what this mountain was before going up it. Like, I spent a long time, I read websites, I watched YouTube videos. I was not going to get caught off guard on this one. And my understanding was that there's a ton of fixed lines. Now, yes, there are a few fixed lines. There's a good amount. It starts off with a fixed line, and it ends off with fixed lines. In between there, however, there are not fixed lines. And especially if you're on your way up, it's like the route, it was such a contradiction, because there were like some people that said the route finding is sometimes quite challenging. And I was like, you can have one or the other. You can have a lot of fixed lines, or you can have a really challenging time route finding. You can't have both. But you do. You do have both on this climb. The route finding is obviously hard in the spots where there's not fixed lines. You can't see the fixed lines from way down below. But yeah, so you generally, if you are going up and like you're alone, or you just aren't super familiar with the route, there are going to be a lot of people up there that probably know their way. So you could probably follow them. They might be a little slower, and I would like, even with this pack, I was passing I didn't get passed by a single person. I passed like every single person I saw. But like, that being said, I didn't have a rope, so you know, it kind of balances out. The only spots that there are fixed lines is the very first section, like very, very first. Like I'm talking like first 5 minutes. And then the final ridge, this part of the mountain. There are like probably 15 fixed lines in total. That does not mean that it is just a via ferrata, okay? I didn't necessarily think that, but I was like, there's such an abundance of fixed lines, like I'm gonna be fine. Like the route finding is not gonna be a problem. I wouldn't say the route finding was ever a bottleneck of mine, but I will say it's not entirely intuitive, and there are not as many fixed lines as it says online. There's a lot of rappel anchors just everywhere, in places that if you were to be rappelling, I would be like, what are you doing? You're wasting so much time right now. That's about all I got. It was extremely fun. I don't know, I think the dehydration has really got me messed up, because there's only been 2 missions in my life where I started before the sun came up and I ended after the sun went down. And one is Gannett, and this one is the other. Now, this was the hardest, I wouldn't say this is mentally the toughest that I've ever done, but this was calorically the highest expenditure I've had in my entire life. I did start in Zermatt, so that's something to keep in mind on that front. But I did Gannett, which is a 40-mile tallest peak in Wyoming, 43 really, and I burned, I think, 12,000 calories on that. This time I burned 14,500 calories, and I think that's mostly due to this backpack. If I didn't have this backpack on, we would be looking at something around 11 probably. Lower than Gannett for sure, but because I have this massive backpack, it was a much higher expenditure. Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully this actually gives you an understanding of what kind of challenges you will face on the Matterhorn. Yeah, that's about all I got.